We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue pod number 42, and some of you may notice a very short title. The biggest reason Cole is sick, he won't be able to make it today. Maybe tomorrow we will have a extra podcast if he feels better. Otherwise, I will go to next week as usual. And how are you, DC?
Very, very rough. For those that don't know, I online YouTube good friend of mine. He was gonna commit suicide today, and he's currently doing well. He's currently in a hospital right now. This has been affecting me a lot. He's had these self thoughts for a while, but I mean, I thought he was getting better, but turns out things have been getting worse. I really hope the guy's doing well. Yeah.
I also hope you will do better. If you show him you're there and stuff, maybe that can help him a lot. It's
Yeah.
always rough. As a teenager, I also had a struggle with that, and yeah, like try to show you're there, but not force yourself into that person's life, but show him you're there to for him, and
Yeah.
sometimes just knowing that people care about you, that can help out a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, um, Cole is sick, so no Cole today. I really hope he will be better, Cole, tomorrow. And just like we talked, if that happens tomorrow, it will be at the same time, and we will do a voice call just like right now, but with Cole if Cole feels better tomorrow. With that being said, since it's just the both of us, which topic you'd like to start up with? The Flash or Rocky?
The Flash. The
Okay,
Flash.
The Flash second season. So we talked off stream and we both did video a lot. But tell me, what are your thoughts on the second season overall?
Mm. This used to be the worst season for me until season 9. I mean, I still say it's definitely one of the worst seasons. But I mean, yeah, yeah. Compared to season nine's worse. But I mean, second season. I mean, it has some good moments. Don't get me wrong. There's still some enjoyment, but for me, I think the cons and the negatives just overtake the positives and outweigh the positives for me. I still think this is one of the weaker seasons for me personally.
Oh, that's very interesting. You are very different from a lot of the community, and this is good. This is why we do that podcast. We need to showcase a very different opinion on that. And for me, it was hands down the best season. It was one of the best season in the Arrowverse as a whole. And it's funny because on my most recent watch, I've noticed more issues with it, but I still think it's top tier. And the only thing I really picture being better when we speak about season two would be Legends of Tomorrow second season. Shockingly enough, I thought that was better than the Flash second season, but maybe I'm also an outcast for saying that. Uh, Now, let's dive a bit deeper into it. What did you thought of Zoom as a villain?
He used to be the worst main villain on the Flash, and right now I'm kind of wondering if he's worse than Red Death because, I mean, there are parts of Zoom that I think are worse than Red Death, but then again, Red Death's motivations were so bad and just literally contrary. So, I mean, I'd still say Zoom's probably one of the worst villains, but yeah, I did not like Zoom at all. I mean, he had a good opener, but I think that's about it.
Why didn't you like him? What was your real issue with the character? Why is it
Mm.
so bad for you? Why is it the worst?
For me, whenever I see the comments, Zoom was so terrifying. Like right off the bat, I try to picture in my head. Apart from beating the crap out of Barry in episode 6, did he actually do anything terrifying? And Also, all I remember was him just standing around looking intimidating 99% of the time. And the times when he beat up people, like in episode 14 when Barry's in the prison and he beats Barry up, Jesse tells him to stop and then Zoom stops. And yeah, I'm like, what? Just continue beating him up. Just because someone tells you to stop doesn't make them right. And not to mention his plan was really doesn't still doesn't make sense for me. And I still don't get how he was still able to kill a time remnant version of himself, yet he's still alive. It's so confusing. Yeah. Yeah, there's
So
so much.
I can go to Zoom defense for one thing, and that's the when people tell him to stop, he stops. Uh, the idea of Zoom is he got traumatized as a child because he has seen his mother dying in front of him, and his father basically killed her mother, and her mother, she begged mercy many times. And the defense I could see is when uh, someone asks stop, he relives that moment, and he just revert back as a child. And as a child, there was no way he was a serial killer already, you know. But that's the only defense I could say. And I fully agree with you. Like the time remnant crap and his big master plan at the very end, it was bad. I thought Zoom was a great villain. He was killing people. Unlike Red Dead, he was killing people.
Yeah,
He felt
that's
like a
one.
threat.
Yeah, that's one part of Room that's better than Red Death. At least he actually murdered people, at the very least, unlike Red Death, who said was meant to murder people, yet didn't do it at all because a kid show, apparently. But yeah, yeah.
So another thing I liked a lot about Zoom is the fact that he is very linked and tight with Barry, because he has very similar upbringing, but his life was much worse than Barry's, and this is why he turned out to be a villain at the end. And he is really a reflection of Barry in itself. And I think great villain need to be some kind of reflection to the hero and stuff. And Zoom in that season did great job with that. Like, I mean, Barry became the Flash because Reverse Flash killed his mother and framed his father in front of him. And Zoom became Zoom because his father killed his mother in front of him. So these are very similar stories, and they can really showcase some kind of reflection, some kind of mirror. And one turned out to be a good guy, and the other turned out to be the bad guy. I think that's part of Zoom's strength. He is the perfect villain. He is the perfect Joker for the Flash. And it's funny how I think he is a better villain than Reverse Flash just because of that. Just because of the upbringing both character have and share. Suffering turned Zoom into a monster, and Suffering turned Barry into a hero. And that's why I'm like, man, Zoom, amazing. And no other villain brought Barry on his knees the same way Zoom did. I mean, Zoom almost killed Barry, and he ran through the entire city showing everyone, looks, that's your hero. He almost died and stuff. And this is really villainous stuff, you know, and no villain did that much damage after that. Maybe Savitar at some extent, but even there, not really, because Savitar didn't kill someone important. All Savitar did was killing HR by accident because that was Iris, you know. No other villain in the show after that really brought that that really big threat. Tinker killed Rolf, but that was erased at the end of the season. So yeah, that's why I think Zoom was the best villain. He killed Barry father, uh, forcing Barry at some extent to do Flashpoint. He's the reason why Flashpoint happened, because Barry reached the breaking point after losing his father in front of him and being so powerless. Uh, Man, I'm just a big fan of Zoom, and I can see where you're coming from. Like, the whole idea of him being a time remnant doesn't make any sense. And that's like the cons about him, but that's the only big issue I got because as a villain, man, he is the best.
Yeah, I could actually see some of your points there. I could see some of them, like upbringing and being reverse reflection. Yeah, I can understand some of that, but yeah, yeah.
So
It's just for me. I feel like I do agree with some of your points, the time remnant stuff and his master plan. I feel like this master plan was felt bigger than even Damien Dark's from season 4 of Arrow, for me personally, and yeah,
yeah, the master plan of Zoom to destroy the universe to be the fastest among all universes doesn't make any sense. That's the other issue I almost forgot about Zoom. Um, but yeah, Zoom, great villain. Now, I thought that was a great season, but I still had a few issues. And on my most recent watch, one of the biggest issue I had was the last few episodes, from episode 18 to like episode 23. That was bad, and here's the why. First of all, Barry is able to stop Zoom, but the plot needs Zoom to remain the villain until the end of the season, so Zoom escapes and he captures Wally. It doesn't make any sense for me. Barry at that point is faster. He's shown to be faster. He defeated Zoom, and Zoom just escaped like that because the plot need that to happen. It really bothered me a lot, and each time I rewatch, I'm really bothered by it for so many reasons and so many levels. And then to add insult to injuries, he threatened to kill Wally, and Barry just says, "Okay, I will give you my speed so you leave Wally alive." They really wanted to depict this moment as being that big heroic moment, self-sacrifice stuff, but I feel like it's really stupid. What tells you that Psycho won't kill you anyway after you got your speed? You will be freaking powerless in face of him. So when I see Barry giving his speed, I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, it's so stupid that Barry's just, okay, I will do it. Let people die. You know you can stop Zoom. You showed it before. You showed it before. So just do it again instead of just giving your speed like if. Anyway, that's a big frustration for me. Then we get Powerless Barry for like 3 episodes. Great. At least we got the Speed Force episode, right?
yeah,
Um, that was a good episode and a weird moment because that was the downhill part of the season for me. Because up to episode 18, I do think season 2 was a 10 out of 10 up to episode 18. Uh, the season 2 lose all of its points because of episode 18 and upward. That's just how I see it. That back half, it doesn't make sense for so many reasons. The Zoom plot twist, time remnant stuff, Barry giving away his speed. I'm always insulted as a viewer. I'm like, the hero is not really heroic when you really think about it.
yeah.
What is your take on that? What is your take on Barry being able to sub zoom on episode 18? Do you agree or disagree? That's important to have your take, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I do agree with some of your points. Like, it kind of feels kind of forced that Barry could not take Zoom down. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing about like villains that are like the main villains, main season villains, is that yes, not every villain you're gonna take down even near the end, but I feel like the way they did with Zoom was if you can take out a villain, then later on it really shouldn't be a problem. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Prometheus and Damien Dark work so well was because they were villains who, even later on, you still couldn't feel like Oliver could take them down. With Zoom, like even in Prometheus, when Oliver was able to take him down, it still felt like Prometheus still had the upper hand, and that's kind of what made Prometheus a really a more threatening villain. With Zoom, is like until episode 18, Barry and Team Flash were actually able to stop his speed, and he just does nothing. And oh man,
Well, actually, no. My point is really like in episode 18 was the first moment they really could stop Zoom. Because before that, they could not. In this, I fully understand why for 18 episodes he was a villain. But my issue is that it could escape on episode 18. Because at that point, Barry did add the Tachyon device, or I forgot the name. So it was faster at that point. But before that point in the season, Barry wasn't able to stop Zoom. And I'm fine with that to some extent. If Zoom is faster, it's okay. Make Barry train, make Barry fight other villains to get better and stronger. That was the point of having speedster villain every week, every season for the first 3 seasons. But my true issue is really in episode 18 they could have ended the season there, but they didn't because they had a 23 episode run and they wanted to keep the entire cast for 23 episodes and stuff. That's my true issue because I'm fine with Barry losing. But episode 18 should have been the end of Zoom. It just doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
yeah, I could understand that.
About Barry giving away his speed, what is your take on that? Do you agree with me to say it's stupid, or do you disagree because you have another perspective you'd like to share?
I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I understand why, because first off, it's not easy to negotiate with psychopaths. Like I've been in that situation numerous times, and it's very difficult because they really don't care. But I feel like I understand Barry's reason, but at the same time, I felt like couldn't Barry just come up with a like a backup plan, like to trick come up with a plan to like trick Zoom, like instead of actually gaining this speed, he actually steals Zoom speed, and like I wish they came up with smarter ideas. Like Barry tries to come up with a plan to steal Zoom speed, but Zoom it backfires on him. I kind of wish they came with ideas like that, because then episode 19 they have the whole episode is Barry getting his speed back, and it kind of feels pointless. I mean, the Speed Force episode is the best episode of the season for me, and but I feel like that episode should have been the next episode, like episode 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are like my big issues with this season. Like most of the back half, like 18 and upward, is filler for me. It's like, oh, Barry is more than just speed. He is someone that has an art. At least we got an amazing scene where Zoom just kill off an entire police precinct in Jitters. That was actually amazing. But outside of that, man, upward, that part of the season was much weaker than the rest. Is there anything you did like in season two?
And there are things I liked. I mean, I like Zoom's introduction, Zoom's music, the multiverse concept, even if I may have some problems with that. Um, Flashpoints, the Flashpoint ending, and some of the storylines, some of the scenes, some of the fight scenes. I mean, there's stuff I still like about this season. Just as a whole, I have probably more issues with season two than really any other season, apart from maybe season nine.
Yeah, season 9
Yeah.
is really hard to beat on all bad it is, and that's disappointing because I really wished it was better. Like I don't want to sit and eight watch. I just want to enjoy the Flash. And I'm with you. Season 9 is the worst so far. Um,
Yeah.
what would be your favorite? Let's say your top three episode of season 2.
Well, it would be the Speed Force episode as number one. Um, Zoom's introduction, which is episode 6. What else? Hmm. Guessing episode 9, even if I have a lot of problems with that episode. But those were the three I would enjoy the most if I had to rewatch.
Oh, that's very interesting. We got one in common there. So, my favorite episode of that season, and this is also my second favorite episode in the entire show so far. So, my favorite episodes in season 2 was Enter Zoom 2x6. That was amazing. I mean, Zoom beating the crap out of Barry and showing him around, telling everyone your hero died. That was amazing. No other villain after that in the show showed such dominance over Barry. Even Sekida was basically stronger than Barry for like most of the season. At no point he dragged around Barry like a ragdoll, you know. At no point. That's what makes Zoom such an amazing villain. He did something the other could not. He broke Barry. He broke Barry, literally.
Yeah.
My second favorite episode in that season, and also my third favorite episode in the entire show. Welcome to Earth 2. I think that's 213, I believe, because 14 was part 2, I think. I can't
Yeah,
see
yeah, I think
part
that
2.
was,
Yeah,
yeah.
so 213, I liked the crap out of that episode a lot. Just seeing like the alternate Earths and meeting all these characters that are played by the same actors but that live different lives. It's very interesting, and it showed some great moments. And I will say this: it was funny because in that episode, Barry and Iris actually had chemistry, which was rare at that point in the show for me. Like, it took 9 seasons for me to believe in Iris and Barry, and season 9 really did great job into I don't know what happened with them behind the scene, but now they play around each other well. They are more believable as a couple. And in all the Barry and Iris scenes, like throughout the entire show, they don't have chemistry. The actor don't work well together. That's my experience with that, and I just don't I just don't buy it. During the entire show they didn't sold it well for me, but in that specific episode I was shocked. I was like, wow, they made it believable. And that's funny because then in season 3, Iris's and Barry like relationship and love and stuff in season 4 as well, that becomes front and center. They have a wedding and everything, and in season 3 and 4 that should be the peak of it. But guess what? They had no chemistry at all. So I'm like, that's a letdown. Season 2, you did it right, but season 3 and season 4, you just don't get along on set, or what? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you thought there was chemistry between Barry and Iris throughout the entire show?
Yeah, in my defense, I would say that they had chemistry because it always felt like Grant Gustin and Candace Patton always worked well off each other. Because really, when you really think about it, Barry and Iris really are not that much different from each other, at least in their lives. Barry lost his mother to the Reverse Flash. Iris had a mother who was a drug addict. So they both kind of lost their mothers in different ways. Also, Barry and Iris just grew up with kind of like superhero dads, with that being Joe. So, and really, for the most part, it's like Barry and Iris's lives were actually kind of the same, just they were together. Not to mention when they both dealt with Girder from season 1. Yeah, there's also more connection there. So for me, I think they've always had their chemistry. They always have chemistry with each other. Not to mention, I could actually sense Barry and Iris more together than really other than any of Barry's other quote unquote relationships. I mean, the closest one I could kind of see was Lisa Snar, aka Golden Glider from season one, who also appears in this season, like in the first half, in episode three, but she quickly disappears. But even then, it wasn't like a romance stuff. But yeah, I do think Barry and Iris did have chemistry in season two. I think they have chemistry throughout the entire show. But it's probably because I think they just work really well together. That's my take on it.
You know, that's very interesting because we are very different on that here again. I thought Patty Spivot had crazy chemistry with Barry, and I was disappointed to see her go. Like back in the day when the show was airing and I was watching weekly, I was disappointed. I was like, "What happened? Why?" And when I rewatched, I'm like, "Man, they did a huge mistake to get rid of Patty like that." I liked Patty character a lot, and I feel like it's much more organic because they have similar interests and they are both like geeks and they are both very smart and they are just a better match, I think. But here again, that's just me. I just feel like they're a better match than Iris and Barry, and both actors also work very well on set as well. They have some of the best scenes in shipping and stuff for me. Like the perfect example would be the date they get. I think that was like the first or the second date where Barry is basically blind and he has glasses and he speaks with Cisco and stuff. I always remember that date. Do I remember any of the date with Barry and Iris? Not really. Not really. And they had much more dates. They had much more chance at having it memorable and something I can remember, but they just missed the mark.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just the Iris hater because I thought she was a bad character after season two ended. um, so yeah, Patty, she was a great addition. She was a really good love interest, and I enjoyed her character a lot. Um, So welcome to R2. Let's go back to it. I really enjoyed that episode. Seeing Dead Storm and Killer Frost for the first time was amazing. I just enjoyed it a lot. And my third favorite episode of season two would be Flash of Two Worlds. I think that's the episode where Barry threw his first lightning bolt. Am I right on that? I'm actually rusty on that. I just remember that if this is this high on my list, it's because it has barely issues for me in that episode. But I think that's the episode where he threw his first lightning, and the weekly villain didn't know Jay was on Barry's Earth, and he was kind of caught by surprise that there was two Flash.
Yeah, that's that episode, and yeah, that I think that is the episode where throws his first lightning bolt. But yeah,
Yeah, that was the second episode. So that I think the start of that season was amazing. Back to back, great episode. We had a King Shark episode later. I really enjoyed season two a lot. Family of Rogue, I think that's the episode with Golden Glider. And Barry basically works with Snart and the father, and Snart was amazing.
yeah,
I enjoyed crap out of Snart.
yeah,
Uh, the darkness and the light. I think that was the episode I was talking about where Barry was blinded. And you see, all these episodes I mentioned are kind of high in my list. They are not top 10, but they're like top 20-ish. Uh, I I I always have good memories. Oh, I just found episode 14 right now. It's kind of high. Uh, so yeah, what would be your top three worst episode of that season?
Oh man, so number one would be Invincible. It's the episode Black Siren.
Oh really? Why? I'm
Yeah,
surprised. Why?
yeah. Because of how it's like Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg just did Black Canary wrong, and this kind of ties into why I wasn't a big fan of Arrow season one and parts of season two. It's like they did Black Canary so bad on the Green Arrow show, and yet they do Black Canary well on the Flash.
Well, Black
Like,
Siren. She's not Black
yeah,
Canary at that point. She's Black Siren.
yeah. I know she technically becomes Black Canary later on, but yeah. Yeah, that's one reason why it's like it completely just makes it kind of in a way kind of makes fun of Arrow when they killed off Laurel in season four, and yeah, I have so many problems with that episode. The other episodes I did not like were hmm, that I the episode 10 was another one I did not enjoy. In that tar pit episode. It's the one I think, or Griffin Grey one of those two. I think it was the Griffin Grey one because it's the one he didn't have his powers. But yeah,
Griffin
yeah,
Grey, I think, is the Rupture one or Back to Normal?
I think it's back to normal because in the episode he did not have his powers. I think in Rupture Barry had his powers.
No, Rupture didn't add his powers. That was automatic E for me. He got back his powers in episode 21.
Hmm.
I think. Uh, Let me see. So versus Zoom was kind of low for me because it didn't make sense. Um, I'm pretty sure that's episode 21 that Barry gets back his power. 21 is the Speed Force episode. Yeah, I'm right. So that's the episode he gets back his power. Episode 21.
Oh, oh wow.
Well, actually, this is at the end of episode 21. Because
Oh,
throughout the
oh,
entire episode of 21, they tried to bring him back, but they failed doing so. Like the cliffhanger of episode 20, they seemingly kill Barry. And that was the Rupture episode.
oh. Okay, so it should be back to normal then.
Yeah, back to normal. Yeah, these two episodes,
Yeah,
man, they were awful for me.
yeah.
They were like some of the worst thing I've seen in the Flash, like before it became bad. Um,
Yeah.
so did you mention all of the three you thought were the worst episode?
Yeah. I know it was the Back to Normal, Invincible, and what was it called? Potential Energy. Yeah, Potential Energy.
Feeling you, man. I think potential energy is somewhere in the middle for me, and Invincible is actually also somewhere in the middle. Um, so my worst three episodes this season were Back to Normal. Episode 19 is instantly the worst. The moment I see Barry no powers, the episode already lose points for me. It's like by default because I really don't like that. It's like it's a Flash episode and there's no Flash. And I will go further with this. That kind of storytelling, it feels lazy. Every superhero TV show did that at least once. What are you without your powers? What are you without your mask? We already know that. There's an entire show dedicated to you. We don't need to see you without your powers. I'm not interested, you know? If that was at least unique the way they tell the story, if that was at least unique, the weekly villain and stuff, if that was something memorable, I would be like, okay, maybe that's decent. Maybe you did it well, but you're just one episode among many where you just don't have your power. It's sad. I really don't like that. And episode 7 did something similar, but that's right after he got his back broke by Zoom. And it didn't really lose his power. That was something more mentally and stuff. And it made sense, and I liked it a lot. Episode 7 was one of the top dog, you know, and he barely had his speed, you know. I think he had his speed by the end because he realized that was all mental and stuff. So that's all on the execution. So when I see Back to Normal, I'm like, what is this crap? What am I watching? It's not good. No, I don't like that. So after that would be Rupture. Same thing. You don't have your freaking power. At least the cliffhanger was decent. But another forgettable, bad weekly villain, Rupture. I mean, okay, that's Cisco brother doppelganger, but we had what, one or two episodes with Cisco brother up to that point, so I don't really feel anything toward that, and I don't really care. And that's ironic because Cisco is actually a great character.
Yeah,
So
that's another issue for me when it comes to season two. Is I think the villains of the week were just so forgettable and lame.
yeah,
Like, like in some of the Earth Two doppelgangers, I feel like some of the storylines are just. I was like, what? Like the Killer Frost Caitlyn stuff. Like just because your Earth Two doppelganger is a criminal doesn't mean your main version is a criminal unless something different happens. Yeah, but I hated how later on when Caitlyn sees her Killer Frost side, I was like seriously, I was questioning. Think if that's not you, that's a different old. That's an alternate version of you. Doesn't mean it's the same you. And yeah, yeah, that's another thing about Sin 2 that I did not like was how many side villains were pretty lame. Like Kingshire was one of the few good ones, but that's because he got better later on.
yeah.
I don't even remember his main. I know he had a confrontation with Barry, and even in the streets. Which how did no one see a giant shark walking around? Boggles my mind. The Gorilla Grodd episode, the Gorilla Grodd was weaker because of how it's like it's been months since season one, and yet not a single person could tell that there was a giant gorilla in a um like in a giant gorilla around the city. It's baffling. I mean, there's so much wrong with the main villain, with the villains of the week at the week in this season.
uh, Hours and hours of fun. So yeah, Rupture. I really didn't like that episode. When I ever rewatch that, I will just watch the cliffhanger. Barry dies. Zoom get mad because Barry died and I didn't kill him. um. So my third worst episode is episode 18. And this is funny because that could have been amazing if they didn't took away Barry's speed. That could have been amazing if they actually stopped Zoom at that point instead of like milking the crap out of it. I'm like, brah, done the milk. No more milk. I will develop a intolerance. Too much milk there. I really didn't like episode 18. It ruined the season for me. I was like, bruh, most of the first half is like 10 out of 10, and then you pull that one off. You tell us Barry can stop Zoom, but because the plot wants Zoom to get away, Zoom will get away. It's one of the most insulting thing to ever do to a viewer.
Yeah.
I really hate that. Um, so yeah, overall the season, as I repeat myself a lot, was the best season for me, despite that big issue. If 17 out of 23 episodes are amazing, this is an amazing season for me at least. Anyway, I guess except if you have closing thoughts or stuff you'd like to share, I guess we can move to grade out of 10 for this season. I guess you don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, I don't.
So I would give this season a 9 out of 10. The Zoom stuff really ruins it for me. It's very sad. I will defend to the teeth that season because I still believe that season is strong and this was the last good season of the show. But that's just me. What about you? What would be your grade out of 10?
A 4 out of 10.
Oh, edgy, edgy. I've never heard someone else giving that grade to that season. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. If we gave it like a letter grade, I would have given like a D minus. But I mean, 4 I think is close enough to a D minus.
Interesting. I cannot wait to see your final grade for season 9 once season 9 is over. Maybe the
Oh,
back half, maybe the last 5 episodes will salvage the boat, but I think the boat is already sinking. So if the
I
back,
don't, I don't, I don't think the last 5 episodes are gonna save the show. I mean, with Oliver Queen returning, I already had bad feeling that it would not be good. So I
like
don't really expect it to be good.
season 9 right now for me is like a 3 or a 4. No, actually, no, 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 it's worse than that. Season 9 for me so far, it's a 2 or a 3.
Well,
And depending on the ending, like, even if the ending is fabulous, there's no way it's going higher than 6.
yeah, for me, season 9 like at a 1.
But it's not over yet. Let's give it a chance. Even if I have my idea that it cannot really go any higher than 6, I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what happens next. And that's funny because right now I say a 2 or a 3, but if the last 5 episodes are worst, man, it can go worse than 2 or 3. That's the amazing thing. It can be worse. I really hope the last 5 episodes are something memorable, and I really hope these 5 episodes are good. Like I mean, we got 8 really bad episodes in a row. Give us something good for the last 5, please. Eric Wallace, hear our pray. Anyway, any closing thoughts on the Flash season 2?
Not for me.
Okay, so I guess we can move on to Rocky. That's funny because I don't have much to say. Um, but let's go over that. What did you thought of Rocky, the first movie made in 1976?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's good. So I will say this: I thought that was a very average movie. Um, I can see why some people like it a lot, but um, I think there are too many praise for that movie. Average for me. So I guess we can dive deep into it. What would be your issues if you had any issues with Rocky?
Mm. Issues. I guess that Paulie guy, that the alcoholic, abusive brother, I really did not like his character. Um, I just thought he was the one who I was always like, "What are you saying?" half the time. But apart from him, I don't think I have any other issues.
Well, that's funny because he's also one of my issues. um, I got more issues though. My first issue would be the pacing. I thought the movie was too long. It could have been trimmed down a bit. And there was also too much telling instead of showing. Example, Rocky telling the story of some of his injury instead of showing fights that created his injuries. Um, I say that because it's a movie. Now I can understand the counter argument. Look, this is a movie. They have a budget. They cannot shoot everything they want. But I don't care. I want to see it. I don't care about the story. I want to see it. Show me. Um, Next up would be sometimes I had hard time following with the accent. As you know it, my first language is French and not English, so maybe that's a me issue. But sometimes I'm like, what are they saying? What's going on? But that's just sometimes. Like overall, I was able to follow most of it. It's really like few characters, few scenes here and there throughout the movie. Um, the next issue would be Rocky, previous friend just being one-dimensional jerk. That's the alcoholic, the brother you're talking about. He is
Yeah,
nothing more than a one-dimension jerk. I hate the crap out of that
yeah.
character. Um, Okay, the next stop. I don't know if it's the movie or if it's my website, but I will still point that one out. The sound and the volume of people talking wasn't always good. What's your experience with that? Have you seen the movie on a website or have you seen the physical movie?
I was able to watch the movie on a website, and I kind of had the same thought, but I mean that's probably because I don't know about you, but I have really bad hearing sometimes. So even I can miss certain lines in movies. But yeah, I mean for me the hearing was okay for the most part.
Okay, so maybe it's my website. I don't know. Because sometimes some movies do have bad sound. The perfect example would be Alien last week. I remember you telling us, even you with your physical copy, the sound was bad. So maybe that's the case with Rocky. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? So these are my issues. They did damage a lot of the experience for me. I don't see myself rewatching that just for fun. Anyway, let's go over to what we liked. Enough of the negativity and the negative stuff. What did you like about this movie?
I personally thought that the fact that the movie was not mostly based on boxing or because I like WWE, and I'm pretty sure most people would want to know what happens in the outside of their lives other than just wrestling half the time. This film kind of explores that. That's something I really enjoyed because let's be honest, if it was just wrestling just for a moment, it really wouldn't be that exciting because you're just going to see two people punching each other half the time, and that eventually is going to get boring. And I actually like how they going through the outside struggles, relationship stuff and all that. It makes it more realistic. I enjoyed some of the training and exercise scenes. I felt like it kind of motivates people for me. It actually did even motivate me because the day I was watching the movie, I actually did some exercise. Yeah, and I also feel like the movie just does a really really good job with um using music. Has how about like pretty sure 90 or 80% of the movie there's no music, which I enjoyed a lot. There are other projects as well, but those are the main ones I wanted to talk about for the most part.
Okay, that's very interesting. That rounds up well your thought, I guess. So, um, now I still got a lot of things I enjoyed. The opening scene was good. I like the fact that it's a movie about boxing and the life of a boxer more than just boxing and boxing. I'm on board with you by saying it was interesting. Um, Rocky being a thug was also interesting. Rocky learning he lost his locker and why was fine. Rocky struggle with other people. That's something I can relate a lot because sometimes I struggle to have normal exchange with people. Um, so yeah, I can fully see where he's coming from. He's a weird person with a weird way of dealing with other people. Uh, the sister love interest is very likable. I enjoyed her a lot. The way they used the brother to showcase the sister, sad life is fine. So even if I don't like the brother, I think it was important to showcase how sad the sister life was, and I'm fine with it. Even if I don't like the character itself, I see why they made him this way and the use of him, which is fine. It's just a plot of his character. It's still taking away points, but in terms of story, he brings something, you know. Um, the sister going out with Rocky. Rocky is very self-centered, which is interesting. Because usually it's more women that are like that. Men are not really self-centered that much. Usually men are sitting back and letting the other people talk and Of course, they will engage if the other person want them to engage, But maybe I'm just like that. Are you like that? Do you engage with others, or you prefer it when other people talk?
I'm not like that. Um, I guess I prefer when other people talk. Um, but yeah, I'm not like that. I just prefer when other people talk.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same. I like it when people talk. I don't want to engage. Well, I want to engage, but only if the other are bringing the most of it. Like I I'm not the one to hold the conversation too long. Like it won't be about me. It will be about you. And if you ask me stuff about me, I'm willing to respond, and to answer and stuff. But I won't share from the get go, if you know what I mean. And I think that's something a lot of men are doing. We don't occupy most of the space when it comes to talking. Women do. That's a fact. Women like to talk. Men, not always. Some men do like to talk, but not every man, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, so next up, Rocky, self-aware about being dumb, since he likes to fight. I like that messaging through Rocky character. That was amazing. That made sense. I enjoyed that part a lot. The contrast between the girl and Rocky. So they are very different, but that's why they get along, and that makes sense. They have like that kind of thing is believable because sometime in life you you get to get along with people that are different than you, and it makes sense. And their story is believable. The chemistry is there. And when I see that, I'm like, why is it so hard to make relationship for more modern writer? It's because modern writer are not always that good. Um, so yeah, I like the contrast a lot. Rocky being insistent felt like a man. Some people may think it's not appropriate. Well, at first I was uncomfortable, but I could see where they were going for and what they were going for. She clearly wanted him, but she was too shy. But we are in 2023. That kind of scene would never happen, because standard and society changed since then. Um, yeah. Rocky going in the fight club, Rocky being sensitive but not letting people know. This is a thing a lot of men do. Would you agree with that?
Ye- Yeah, I guess I would agree.
No, not I guess. Do you agree? You can disagree, you know it. We are different, If you have a
I
different take, I want to hear it. That's the point of the podcast.
No, it's just from my experience. I would say I disagree from my personal experience because I mean I've never met people who get sensitive like really quickly. But I mean I can understand why. I mean there are men who get sensitive really fast.
But they won't tell because it's kind of ashamed. That's my point. Like he is sensitive, but he doesn't want to show it. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean by there?
yeah, I know.
He wants to hide it, and what I'm saying is a lot of men want to do the same. They don't want to show that they were hurt or something.
Yeah,
Um, next up, um, accepting the old man as manager, and it's shown instead of told. Because at first they have an argument. Rocky doesn't want him to be the manager, and that he thinks a little bit about it. And then they go out and they basically meet each other again in the street, and they do that handshake, telling there's a deal. So there's no words said there. They just showed us, the viewer, they shook hand. They did shake hand. So a deal is made at that point. And this is amazing. So when you have that kind of stuff, and then you look back at the story they are telling us instead of showing, I'm like, you know how to show a story. Why don't you do it more often? But that's just me again, nitpicking, as we say. The music throughout the movie was good, and it really wants you to train and work out, and that's good. Rocky and the brother having a talk about the sister, it was hilarious. Rocky and his girlfriend have chemistry and their relationship is well written. It makes sense. Rocky working out, the girlfriend moving in with Rocky made sense. The music, Rocky training, the characters sniffing stuff was funny. But people would get canceled to make that kind of stuff in 2023. The music, Rocky losing the fight, Rocky coming back in the fight. Um, the last few minutes I was kind of tapped out. The movie was too long for me. I can't even remember the ending. Um, so, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we move on to the grades?
Not for me.
Okay, so I guess this movie, for me, is a 7 out of 10. It's average. I can recognize it's well written at points, but it didn't age well for me. I've seen better movies, I've seen worse movies. What about you? What would be your grade out of 10?
Probably a 9.
Okay, very interesting. A 9 out of 10. So, tomorrow, as I said, if Cole is feeling better, we do another podcast and we will have the discussion going on, you know? So, any closing thoughts? Now we are in the outro because we covered both topic we could cover today. Because I don't
Yeah.
think you watched Titan, do you?
No, no. Even if I did, I think I'd be finished by the. I think by the time I start watching it, I think the show would be over.
Yeah.
I'll try. Yeah, there's no way I would have gotten. But yeah.
So, man, thank you a lot for joining me again. So I wish you had seen a bit more movies, you know, so we could last a bit longer. But that's fine. I will take what I take. Thank you for your time, man. I had a blast today, and I really hope
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow will happen. It will be around the same time, and you are welcome to join if you can.
All
But make
right.
sure to watch one of the movie at least.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll try to watch Panic Room at the very least. I'll try to watch that.
yeah,
So, so yeah.
Panic Room was really a good movie, I think. But that's a topic for tomorrow. Worst case scenario, if you cannot make it, that's sad. But next week, man, next week, Tuesday, if guys are available, we do the podcast as usual,
All
and
right.
I will post the topics. If tomorrow doesn't happen, pretty much all the topics of today will be moved next week, except for like Rocky and Flash, yes, because I want to hear what Cole has to say. So we can also share quick thoughts, but we already covered Flash in depth, you and I. So if like it's mainly to have Cole take on it, and maybe Cole will have some question and stuff, so we can interact and stuff. So yeah, that's what's going on. So I will post the schedule because basically Cole sent me a full schedule for the next few months. Um, and of course, as I said, when season 3 starts, keep in mind each week you will choose one of the movies or one of the topic we could cover. If it's a TV show, make sure it's not too big because we already cover TV shows I pick. And Cole, man, he is occupied as well. We are all occupied, you know, and yeah. So it think about movies mainly. Think about movies, and if there's a space where a week we don't cover a TV show, you could pick a TV show, and we would cover the season by season, the entire TV show. I know you're into Walking Dead a lot, so maybe that will be eventually one of your picks. But yeah,
Yeah, I actually
movies.
I actually plan for The Walking Dead being like after The Flash. So once we finish season 9, or like when we finish The Flash,
Yeah,
I plan we can talk about that because there's a lot of Arrowverse actors in The Walking Dead, and yeah, yeah, some of which are from Arrow, Flash, and Superman and Lois. So
that's good.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yes.
yeah, um, man, here again, you are amazing. I'm glad we could do at least two topics. An hour is still very appreciated, you know. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Anything you'd like to plug?
Not for me.
Okay, so with that being said, people, like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out Marvel DC. His channel is in the description below. If you just click on the at, you should end up on his channel and find all of his videos. With that being said, thank you a lot, DC. Have a good night, everyone, and take care, DC.
All right, same. Bye.